If you haven't followed the podcast yet and don't know who I am Chris Wright, the head of PUBS Advisory Service here in the UK. I provide insights into the UK pubs trade, speak with other experts, share experiences and stories from publicans across the country. Along the way, exploring different pubs, how they are run, and speaking with the operators. Podcasts are released weekly, and we are always interested in what our audience has to say about pubs as well. Take note, you can take part as well. So how do you contribute to the Our Pubs Speak Out podcast? You can WhatsApp us on 07766 07 3815. Leave your story in the form of a voice message or voice note. 5 mins is approximately the maximum time length. If you're cut off or have a longer story, message back and continue where you left off. Please include as much detail about your experience as possible and avoid recording in noisy places or a moving vehicle. I recommend subscribing to the PUBS Advisory Service. It's the most extensive pub service offering more than just representation. We have online calculators, document banks and other resources for those interested in running a pub business. You can claim all of the costs of subscribing back as a business expense. Some of the WhatsApp content will make it into special episodes of my podcast, exclusive only to subscribers of PUBS Advisory Service. A paid-for subscription gives you early access to episodes, plus online Q&As where I answer listeners' questions about the industry. Yeah. Hello, this is Chris from PUBS Advisory Service again. This is the Our Pubs Your Shout podcast, and today I'm joined by Jason from the House in the Tree down in sunny Cheltenham, because we are in summer at the moment. It's now June. And Jason, you've been there since 2012, is that right?
Yeah, we have.
2012, wow. So it's been quite the journey. You've obviously, like everybody else who's been in that period, had the pandemic jammed in the middle of it. And we got together, we met because you reached out, you were having problems with your business rates. And that's really how I started helping your business and working with your wife, Donna, there. And not to touch on the VOA right away, but I just wanted to impart upon listeners what an amazing success story you have down there and how you've really grown this business post-pandemic. You've added on so much volume and sales, and it's just been a terrific, interesting story. And one day I will definitely come down and visit because you've got so much to offer. But I just want to take this opportunity to have a chat with you, learn a bit more, and just see how you've really done it, you know, and then maybe along the way what mistakes you made and wish you hadn't have done. So, Jason, yeah, just fill me in. Why this pub? Why did you get there in 2012? What was the connection?
The connection was probably started a long time ago when we were children. We used to come to the pub, get left outside with a bottle of pop, a packet of crisps. Dad used to have a drink inside. So I sort of knew the pub. But the one day I just drove past and it was closed up, looked pretty derelict. And I thought, let's have a look at it, see what we can.
Amazing.
And that's where it all started. We just drove past it one day. So I got in touch with the brewery who owned it, which at the time was probably Enterprise Inns. Had a discussion with the area manager and come to some agreement on what we could do and how we could do it. And basically in a matter of probably 6 weeks, took it over.
Oh, fantastic. So you had a real sort of whirlwind introduction. Were you operating anywhere else? Were you from the hospitality trade previous?
Yeah, I was working for Whitbreads as a general manager.
Okay.
And I just find it hard working for someone else. I've had leases before. Like doing my own thing, like being able to put into just ideas, like to try and implement different ideas, see if they work, see if they don't work. So this was the ideal place. It had the scope with the outside. It had a nice 500-year-old pub inside, which is like what I call a proper traditional pub. We had a proper bar where it's separated from the restaurant, which is a big thing for us. We like our drinking trade as much as our food trade. And it just worked for us. It's taken a lot. It's taken 13 years to. Each year we try and spend a little bit more money on the place to try and turn it around, do something new every year. So when people turn up again, they go, "Oh, there's something else here now." That's how we've done it. Not spent loads of money at the beginning. I spent what money we've taken from the customers. We usually spend their money, not our money.
Yeah.
So we haven't taken much out of the pub for 13 years. So we have a wage, but I would say I was probably better off doing hourly rated Tesco's or something. Uh,
That
but
can happen.
it's your life.
Excellent.
This is our life. It's not like, to me, it's not like a job. You come into work, you're your own bosses, and you implement what you want to do. You don't have to go to anyone and ask them, can
Mm.
we do that?
And I just want to get the aspect of your pub create. You are 100% destination, aren't you? You literally are
Yeah.
nowhere. There's no chimney pots, nothing really around you at
I've
all.
already got 4 or 5 houses round us. That's it. So everyone has to travel. We could do with a bigger car park now because that many cars turn up. I could do with probably a multi-story, but not going to in the middle of the countryside. So, but yeah. So destination. We go on the basis that we do good food, good service, good drinks. And a good sized meal for the price, really.
Yeah, there's value on the plate, really, that's
Yeah,
driving that. Yeah.
that's what drives it. Plus, we do try and do quite a lot of traditional pub food. We still do the basket meals. We do our own steak and ale pie, which we sell probably 20 trays a week of,
Mm.
and that's homemade. So we try and do a lot of fresh food and use quite a lot of local suppliers if we can.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's
it's all on a cost thing. So everything we do has to be cost effective, as in for the customer, it's not just us. So we try and keep everything at a certain price.
fantastic. I mean, that's a difficult thing to juggle with today's inflationary pressure that's gone on. I mean, take me back to 2012. You've got zero goodwill. The pub's shut. I take it you had to buy some furniture at the very least, or did you have anything outside at all? Did you have like two broken benches? What was the outside looking like back then?
Terrible. All the fences were broken. The garden was all overgrown. The play area was broken. It was horrendous. It was just like a derelict pub, basically. So what we did was I think I had a bonfire for about 8 weeks. I just burnt all the rubbish that was here for about 8 weeks, and then we started from scratch again. So we did invest a little bit of money to start with. I think we invested about 20 grand on a play area because we've always wanted to make this a family-friendly pub.
Hmm.
So play area, and then we just basically fences, sorted stuff out inside the pub. There was furniture, so we made the best of what we had. I don't think the pub was still furnished, so we took weeks cleaning everything up, painting everything. So we started from what we had here. I think we even went with a second-hand coffee machine. I didn't buy anything brand spanking new because we didn't know how long it might not have worked for us either. So I wasn't going to invest loads of money because personally don't think you can have everything brand new, sparkling, great in a pub, but customers still won't come in. So let's get the customers in first. And then as we started taking the money, we did an opening day with a band. So we tried to make it, the garden was tidier.
Yeah.
And it went well, except for it rained all day as it used to. In those days, it used to rain, but it seems to be getting hotter and hotter now. So
It certainly does. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, so the garden adds capacity. I mean, inside, how many people can you cater for? Standing and eating. How many people do you get in?
the restaurant, we got 64 seats.
Yeah.
And then the bar, we've got about capacity of about 20 people, and that's drinking and seating. We've got four tables in there. So there's a very small bar. So, but I can get up to 40, 45 people in there drinking on a Friday night.
Nice buzzy atmosphere, I bet.
And that's the good thing. It's not a big open space, so you only need 2 or 3 people, and you can talk to them from the bar. It's all about interacting with the customer. I talk to everyone. I try and get my staff to talk to everyone. It's making them. It doesn't matter who you are, making you feel welcome.
Brilliant. And so the garden adds, what sort of capacity do you get from the garden now?
We have probably about 80 benches outside.
80.
Yeah. So I think just going back to last weekend, Father's Day on Sunday, I would have thought we had at least 400 people outside.
Oh my goodness. Your
And
staff must be fit. I mean, are they running tables? You taking orders right outside as well, or how do you manage this?
so with the outside, we have an ice cream shack, which we take all the food orders outside from there. And that also, they always come up with their children, so that persuades the children to look at the ice creams, the sweets, so the drinks. So that's all little bits of extra that they want. So every food order, we don't go to table. They come up and queue and order from an outside station, which is the ice cream shack.
So that helps. That helps manage that large number of people. It's a good system. So this ice cream shack, this was one of your developments, one of your ideas. You.
Yeah, 10 years ago, we had an old shed there which was falling down. So I basically spent 30 grand. The money we put by from the first few years that we were here, we put by and we built a decent ice cream shack. And it's like an overflow to the kitchen as well. So they do a bit of prep work in there and things like that.
Oh, that's clever. So multi-purpose space. So I take it the ice cream shack isn't, it's May to September. That's kind of when it's open. The garden's in full flow. So the rest of the year, do you still have a function for it? Does it work as storage or prep?
Well, we've got our dry stores there, and then it's used for prep work. So when we're in the kitchen's quite small, so it's quite a small kitchen.
Mm.
So anyone's making like steak and ale pies and things like that, they go to the prep shed and do the work there.
Fantastic. Oh, that's really clever idea. So your garden spaces, you've developed it and cleared it and cleaned it. Have you kept it still lawned? I mean, it must wear out if it's still grass, or have you got some very hardy surface there? How do you cope with that?
It's pretty much traditional. It's grass, most of it. Yes, this year's it's starting to look a bit dry and a bit worn out. But every year in March time, I've got a football field, so we've got a football pitch there with a little stand and a little dugout. That looks absolutely torn up now, and but every sort of beginning of the year, sort of March time, even just before then, we redo the pitch if we can, as much as we can. But it soon gets worn out again. I probably at the weekend have 20, 30 children on there playing football.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah.
we stop the goals there. We have it lined by one of the local football teams come down and put lines on the pitch. So the kids love it. It's like we used to have jumpers in a field. They've got their own pitch and a pub and an ice cream shack, sweets, food. Why would they want to go anywhere else?
Absolutely. So you have a House in the Tree FC basically going on,
Well,
albeit a team of 50 kids, but
more like your Man United, your Tottenham. Yeah, they've got all the shirts on. Not many Tottenham though. I can't say.
It's a multi-purpose team. I like that. Well, that paints a good picture. And of course, like you say, having that really big wide play space for kids, they use it in so many different ways. Come up with their own games and everything else. And obviously that makes them linger. It makes the parents stay longer. This is all feeding in very much to, you making people have a much better experience. It's a small shift, but it has a big result.
Well, I have 4 children, so we used to go to pubs years ago, and they want you to eat, and then they want you to go. They don't really want you hanging around pubs, and that's a lot of pubs. Even today, it's probably even worse today. You can have food, and they don't want you around the pubs. They want you out. There's never much in the garden for kids to do. So we have an animal area as well, which is we've got guinea pigs, ducks, chickens, pigs, goats. So they've got that as well. They've got a football field. They've got a children's play area, which we are just about investing for maybe this summer or at the end of this summer, beginning of next year. We're going to invest into a new kiddies play area, which is going to be more of a wow factor as they walk in. But that is our last project. I think we've done everything we can now. All right.
I was going to say, you don't do rooms there, do you? You don't have any accommodation.
No. We don't have accommodation. The problem is the pub is 500 years old, so it was never built to do this sort of business that we do. So that's why we use a lot of different things outside. So summer's brilliant. So typical example, summer we can do 51 grand a week. whereas in winter we'll probably be doing 25. So we can double our take with nice weather.
Are you a publican navigating the choppy waters in the UK pub industry, or perhaps you're looking to get into the trade for the first time? The PUBS Advisory Service is here to help. We provide essential advice and support, from licensing and legal queries to tenancy agreements and business growth strategies. Want to unlock exclusive insights, in-depth guides, and all our past podcast episodes, including hidden extras? Subscribe to PASS today. Membership gives you unparalleled access to expert advice, ensuring your pub thrives. Visit pubs.expert to learn more and subscribe. Don't miss out. Empower your pub business with PUBS Advisory Service.
Take with nice weather. Family occasions. So then it started pushing it to Saturdays and Fridays, and then we started to get more people in. But for the first probably 6 to 9 months, I think on a Saturday, me and Donna sat here some Saturdays, and we had probably about 10 people in the restaurant on a Saturday night, and we were like, God, what are we doing? This is ridiculous. But I personally think it takes at least a year in a pub to start seeing improvements, because a lot of people go in a pub and think, oh, we've done all this, we've got our menu ready, we're going to be really busy. But it takes word of mouth, and word of the mouth is the best thing ever. You can put as many adverts wherever you like, but I don't think that works. I just think word of mouth, you just got to keep pushing it. Make your pub, like I said, we've got nice hanging baskets, the gardens look nice now, the umbrellas are out. People say to me, even now, they drive past for weeks and weeks, and then suddenly they'll stop and come in and go, I've been driving past this pub for 10 weeks and I haven't come in, but I have today. God, it's lovely. So it's just, once they come in, it's interacting with them.
It sticks. Yeah.
But saying that, we own the place, but me and Donna do 80 hours a week here. And that's a lot of the reason that it works, is because people like to see the owners, like to see the landlords, landlady. And we have our own different areas. Donna does the restaurant. She has a lot of older customers that's their day to chat to Donna. They come and talk to Donna. They probably lost their husbands or wives, but it's probably their only chat in the day that they have. They probably sit at home on their own. So we do cater for a lot of older people here, but then that brings different things to the pub, as in they like to have a chat. That's their day out, really.
Sure.
And at the moment, I find that with everything that's gone on over the years, it still feels like the older people still got some money. The ones we have anyway, they come 2 or 3 times a week. They'll have a meal, they'll have a drink, they'll have a chat, and then they go home.
They're regulars. Yeah. So this, this, social connections, doing all that work as well, as you say, it takes a lot of effort, but it has built this feeling and this vibe with your pub, which, extends as far as where I live, right over to Sussex. And it's a big draw. If you were just that little bit closer, I'd be round regularly as well. So, I've got a very vibrant grandson. He'll be pegging it around that field, playing with all the kids. He would absolutely love it. I know he would. And it's good to see that. Do you think the majority of your customer base is coming from Cheltenham, or is there lots of satellite villages around you that are drawing in?
I think there's 3 places basically, so and a bit farther, but the main areas are Cheltenham, Gloucester, Tewkesbury. So there's 3 like smaller towns around, which draws people out, and people still like to have a little drive out.
Sure.
Me and Donna do it the same. When we're on a day off, we like to go for a drive and try and find a pub somewhere. So we draw them. But even as far as, we've had people come from Bristol now and come and see us.
Fantastic.
And that's probably, I don't know, 50 miles away. So
good hour.
Yeah, good hour. And we have people. So we also do, which we never started ourselves, we do motorhome stopovers.
Do you? Okay. So what, the Brit stops? That kind of.
Yeah, they'll ring up, and as long as they have a drink and some food, they can stay the night for nothing. But we didn't even start that. Somebody stopped and they said it was great here. They put it on their website. Now I can have it weekends, 5, 6 motorhomes turn up.
Wow.
Which is great, and that's all extra business. Any business is good business.
Yeah,
Um, like you said, you just got to try everything you can, really. And some of
absolutely.
it works, some of it doesn't work, but you stop it as soon as if it's not working.
Well, tell me about the stuff that worked and the stuff that didn't. So, what's the best thing you think you've done stand out that made was really kind of work for you guys?
Personally, I think making it into a family pub, making it that's worked really well. So the football pitch, the animals, the ice cream shack, the undercover areas that we got, one with a TV, and so that and using the outside to the best of our ability. We do music, but we only do music once a month, just because I don't want to make it into a music venue.
Mm.
Uh, um, so that's all worked, and I think the pub. I think we picked the right pub for what we wanted to do.
Yeah, I would say so.
But
Yeah.
then other things that haven't worked. We built a nice barbecue area, and it was a waste of time because we do a lot of food through our kitchens. It was easier to do the food through the kitchens than stand there trying to do barbecues and whatever. So that didn't
Yes.
really work. I, Most of the stuff's actually worked for us. So I don't know whether we've been lucky or we're just good at thinking of things that will work for
Mm.
the type of pub we got.
Yeah.
Uh, what hasn't worked? We do go through, and this is the negatives is the amount of staff we have to use. We have a 32 staff, which can be a bit of a headache sometimes
I
because
bet.
in this day and age, everyone all has different issues, different problems at home, so that can be quite challenging sometimes. And we have because we're such a busy place, we do go through a lot of staff. That's probably one of the biggest negatives.
Mm.
I used to have pubs where I used to have lots of staff, or not lots of staff. I had probably five, six staff in other pubs, and that would be like they'd be there for years. But whereas we do have a turnover of staff, but I do have staff that have been here 10 years, 8 years. So some stay, but a lot of the younger ones, like most pubs, they come, they do a year, and then they're off.
Yeah.
So training side of it's quite hard all the time. You're permanently for 13 years training people for them to go off and do something else. So
Absolutely, yeah, and you want to keep your standards, obviously, and that I can see that's absolutely crucial to what you're doing. Just you've mentioned the petting zoo a couple of times. I call it a zoo. I mean, that's probably not the right phrase. What do you call it? Petting farm? I don't know.
more of a petting farm. It's
Yeah.
more. It's like with the kids. So we're out in the countryside, but a lot of our kids come from estates down the road, housing estates. And the only time they see animals is probably on the shelves in Tesco's and things like that. So that's sheep, that's lamb, whatever. So it's nice for them to actually see goats, and they love it. They'll sit there, um, and we even have schools come out, like the little toddlers come out from different play groups and whatever, and they'll come and sit outside and look at the animals. We got fish as well, so it's just I don't know. I think this day and age, kids on big estates don't see a lot of animals. They don't go many places still.
Mm.
And I do think we're lucky here because I still think there is some of the children don't have that much money either, and parents don't take them like we used to.
Yeah. Well,
So
again, I think that, excuse me. Last time I think I looked at a zoo down the road for me. I think it was just me, my wife, and the grandson. It would have cost us about 90 quid. It's
so
just
we're free. And
incredible.
everything we do is free. Even the food we give to the children, we'll give them carrots, we'll give them a bit of
Oh,
uh,
fantastic.
pig food. It's
Mm.
free. So they have but that gives them a day out. So basically, for the parents, if the parents have got some money in their pocket, they'll spend it on drink, food,
Ice
ice.
cream.
I'd rather have it spent on that than actually having to pay for goat food or stuff like that. And I'd rather them stay for an afternoon and the kids have fun
Yeah,
than only being able to afford a drink and then I have to go sort of thing.
sure. Yeah, no, that I like that. That sounds fantastic. So you get into the animals thing. How quickly do you start bringing in animals to your vision? Is that back in 2013, 14, or was it a while?
Right, there's a story to this. So We moved in. We didn't plan on having animals straight away, so we moved in. I think it was in the June. So at Christmas, my stepson decided to buy us two pigs. So it was basically him that started it off.
Right.
He bought us two pigs for Christmas. We had nowhere to put them, so we had to make a pen for them. And then it spiraled from there. We also take in a lot of animals from people that need to get rid of them. So we've had somebody got divorced and they had a house pig. So they both didn't want to take the pig with them. So we ended up with the pig. So we just built pens and we made it into something for the kids. The kids come to see the two little pigs to start with. And you could see there was something there for families to come and see.
Mm.
So the thing is, it's expensive though, and we now have to employ a lady every morning to feed them, clean them. So
I bet.
it's not a cheap thing, but it's nice to see children having something different to see.
Sure, sure.
They've all got.
I was going to say, as you described, you don't have to spend a lot of money on advertising. So if anything, these are a kind of an advert. They're a tangible advert. They're right there. So it's not like you're giving it to Facebook or Google. You're spending it right there on the site. So in a way, it is part of your marketing spend. I mean, I've seen something lately, which I don't know how much this is becoming an issue, but there was a story in Kent about a publican who had some animals and there were issues regarding licensing. Is that something you've come across in your neck of the woods?
We've got a small holding license, so we're allowed to have animals. Yes, you have a bit of an issue. You can't just get rid of them. You just can't send them off here and there everywhere. But we do follow the rules. Not yet, but the trouble is, government laws change all the time, and different things come in. But at the moment, we're only a small area. Bird flu's another issue, but we have our pens completely covered.
So the petting zoo is obviously, or the petting farm is there to stay. You know, it's very much a feature of what you do. You're not planning on expanding it and having anything bigger than what you've got. You're sticking with the current animal base, or have you got plans to suddenly get in something else?
The format that we've got is enough for us. We are planning on changing a few better pens, if it makes sense, a bit more family friendly pens and things like that. We're going to try and get this year. So, but yeah, I think most of the stuff we've done now is set to what we want to do. We're at the stage where we can hardly get any more cars in the car park. They're parking down the side of the roads. So I think going forward, we just need to look after what we've got now. So 13 years it's taken to get here. It's just now repairing things, making it look slightly better. But the format of the pub is set now.
Yes, yeah, you're right in your groove, basically. So let's just wind back a little bit. So pandemic hits for everybody, causes utter chaos. You being a destination pub, I suspect you suffered uniquely because people weren't even traveling. There was an awful lot of restrictions around that time. And as the pandemic lifts and people, want to feel safe, coming back, enjoying hospitality, you've got a massive outdoor space. So people really gravitating towards that. And since pandemic, I mean, from what you've told me, you've added on an incredible amount of sales, like over £750,000 of turnover. That's by far and away one of the biggest growths I've ever heard from a post-pandemic trader. And most of the pubs I deal with, they don't even do 750,000. You've added on this huge amount of sales, and as you say, you've been constantly reinvesting, and I think that to me seems to be the magic here that's really worked. You've kept your standards, you keep reinvesting. There's always an ability for people to come back and see a really clean, clear offer, and you guys looking after that offer. And as you say, being present on site, that to me feels like it's very much been part of the magic of your operation. You and Donna are very present, very available for everyone. I mean, and then that just takes a huge amount of work. And I honestly applaud you because it is a story I rarely get to hear, and I deal with many pubs, hundreds in a year. And to hear that kind of level of growth and sales, absolutely take my hat off to you. I mean, you've won some awards. What recently have you, what have you been
They-
accoladed with?
We did Central Pub of the Year for a Stonegate we won a couple of years ago, and that was due to um, from where we started to where we've come and how we changed the pub around from being a pub. And the pub went bankrupt twice before we took it over, so it was a pub that was on its last legs, really.
Mm.
Uh, and we took it from there to where we are now. So we won the best pub in Central region, which was good. It was nice. I'm not really, me personally, and Donna, we're not really into awards. We do it because we like to do what we do
Yes.
more than looking for awards, and we like to see people go home happy. It might sound a bit cliche.
That's the award in itself, isn't it? A big smile on someone's
Yeah,
face and thank
happy
you.
kids, happy families, good
Mm.
food, beer, good drinks.
I've noticed that, TripAdvisor, I think, have given you various accolades as well. You've
Yeah.
been highest rated, and you've often popped up in their top slice, if you like, of operations. How do you find that working with? Do you work with TripAdvisor at all? Or is it just happening around you, and there's no effort on your part?
I'm not a fan of TripAdvisor because I find TripAdvisor, Google's probably better because it's an easier thing. Everyone goes on there these days. TripAdvisor seems to be one of those schemes that if you've got a problem, you stick it on TripAdvisor and you threaten the landlord with TripAdvisor. Where we have thousands of people turn up at the pub each week, so we're not going to always be spot on. There's always somebody's going to. We've had people moan about the silliest things. The pub's old fashioned, yeah, but it's a 500-year-old pub. We lose points because we're a 500-year-old, and we want to keep it as a traditional pub. We don't want to make it into a brand new pub. Oh, your carpet's quite old fashioned. Yeah, well, it's a 500-year-old pub. Those silly things. It's never usually about the food and drink, but it's about things at the age of the pub, or the toilets were quite dirty. Yeah, but we got 1,000 people went through them. Yes, we try and keep them as clean as possible.
As a
Those
hard task.
I always find TripAdvisor a bit negative. Really, you don't really get loads of positive. I find that person would love to go on TripAdvisor to I don't know, slag off your pub or whatever you would call it.
I think you're
Uh,
right. It is a minority thing. I remember doing some analysis back in the day in Lewes in East Sussex, and there were two venues, and I put together. Well, I knew from their sales what they were doing. One was Bill's Restaurants, which has become a
yeah,
massive chain, around the country. It was the first Bill's there, and the other one was my friend's pub, the Snowdrop. And we worked out that between them, they were servicing, something in excess of, let's say, 140,000 customers a year,
yeah.
those two venues. And yet TripAdvisor had only recorded something like 800 interactions. So you can tell that there was 800 interactions, but there was 140,000, 150,000 people using these two venues. So it's a very small slice. And as you say, often the motivation to use it is not overly positive. It can be just to have a bit of an event.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's things like we've had things on TripAdvisor. Oh, something was slightly wrong, um, and I've gone. So we've got in touch with them, and we said, "Well, why didn't you tell us? Oh, you were too busy. We didn't want to say anything." But we're here. That's what we're here for. I'd rather somebody come up to me and we sort it out before you go home than actually wait for it to come on TripAdvisor. We are pretty good at spotting things. If you can tell from people's reactions, how people are, their body language. You can tell if they're having a good time or not. So we are pretty good because we're here all the time of sorting things before it goes out the door. If there's an issue, we don't
Yeah.
have that. We don't have that many issues anyway, so we do pretty well.
Mm. Well, in regards to the offer that you've put out, you've kept the food offer, as you say, pretty traditional. Got the pub, got the basket foods working, and that. Do you do any sort of special events? Do you have a sort of a Spanish week or anything like that, or is that not really your bag either?
No, we don't even do like an early bird or anything. We've our policy is good food at a good price and a good size meal. And that's all we've ever done. We've never promoted. I've never done 2 meals for a tenner. We do enough hard work without having to do promotions as well.
The deal hunters,
Yeah,
yeah,
to
that's a
drag,
knife edge.
yeah, to drag extra people in. So
Mm.
they seem quite happy with the what we offer. And in 13 years, we've not had to change it. So we've done the same offer, or the same, not the same food every week, but we've done the same different menus over the years, and it works well for us.
Mm. Do you find
I
that?
just think,
I was going to say, do you find the
carry on.
the drink offer has changed very much? You know, that people's drinking habits have changed. Are people more premiumized? Have you noticed a shift away from certain
More,
things?
yeah, much more premium. If you're going to come out for a drink now, I think they go for better quality drinks. We are a traditional pub, so we don't do cocktails. And then a lot of people now do ask for cocktails, but I'm still in the mindset of keeping it as the old-fashioned traditional pub. We do hand pulled beers. We do. I think our cocktails are Pimm's. Maybe that could be a cocktail. Pimm's and lemonade, probably our cocktail for the pub. So, but there's always, because we do. I think yesterday, typical example, we didn't have that many staff on, and we did 6.5 grand yesterday, and probably 3.5 grand of that was food, maybe yesterday. It was drink yesterday, so we need to keep our drinks offers as simple as possible. We don't. It's good service. So if somebody comes to the bar, we acknowledge them. They're served in a couple minutes. They're not queuing out the door. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how busy we get. We want people served in a few minutes. The quicker you serve them, the quicker they come back for another drink.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah, the turnaround of service is absolutely key. And I mean, you must have one hell of a dishwasher.
Well,
Very-
it's on the bar, so we have to wash glasses as we're serving. So, but it's
literally.
right. It's
Oh,
in behind our bar, so it makes it easier for us. We're not going out the back to wash glasses.
yeah.
So just
I,
simple things like that.
I think it's interesting because, you have an old building, it's 500 years old, it's compromising in places. There are spaces and passages and doorways and things don't, if you were building from scratch and you were building your kind of turnover volume, you wouldn't do that. But you work with it, and obviously everyone must get a bit hefted. They know exactly where to step and stand. And, it must be like a ballet going on, I imagine, in full flow, when you was absolutely ram jammed and the car park's full. Incredible.
It's the same with the kitchen. Most of our chefs walk sideways because that's why they have to keep walking sideways, but they just have to move along like a conveyor belt. That's how they work. And same behind the bar, we have 2 free staff behind the bar. It's a
Mm.
tight bar. There's lots of glasses coming through. There's people taking food out. So you have to have your wits about you all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Let's just touch upon something that hasn't been in your full control, which is the business rates. And it seems to me, we got in touch and Donna reached out to me saying, hey, I think we're being unfairly penalised here by the valuation office agency because you've been on this big growth, spurt here. And I've had a look at it, and we've had discussions, and obviously been helping with an appeal, through to this agency. But there is undoubtedly something very odd here. You are clearly above average. You're clearly doing things that nobody else in the Cheltenham area. I can think, well, yeah, probably a whole county that I can hold a candle to. And yet the valuation office agent just seems to take that as anyone could do. And I find that incredible. I mean, I don't know if it gives you sleepless nights. I mean, maybe it gives you furious anger, but what do you think the VOA have been up to? How do you perceive their actions to you? What do you think they've been up to?
I personally think we're discriminated against for being good operators. They don't know how much work we put into this business. We put a hell of a lot of work. I just think it's an unfair system. I think at the end of the day, charging people on the value of charging people for what they take more than their square footage is unfair, really. So good operators, it seems like the country does this all the time. Anyone that makes any money, they seem to want to take it off of you. So I could sit here and do nothing, and I wouldn't have to pay hardly any business rates.
Hmm.
But because we want to make our business a success, they take more. We don't get the extras for it. I haven't got a flash car outside because most of that goes into business rates. I just find we are discriminated against, and sometimes if I wasn't such a strong-willed person, I'd probably give up. Actually, that's how it makes you feel. What is the actual point? I might as well get a nice little quiet pub, turn over a lot less money, but you'd have a lot less costs. But we're not like that. We want to carry on. But I think it's unfair. I think it's just a way of making, and all governments and all councils are losing money anyway. So I think they just think of ways of trying to make extra money, but it's definitely not fair.
It feels like, with pubs like yourself, and then we've done analysis in other areas, not just Cheltenham, but other parts of the country, and we've seen a clear line between, let's say, a group of pubs that have stayed very traditional and just kept everything the same and not invested, and just, literally you could have walked in there in the 1980s and today and it'd be the same, clean, hopefully, but and less smokers. But you have, taken that pub up this curve and invested, done wonderful things with the outdoor space, drawn people in, absolutely added huge volume of business. And they have just penalised you purely for investing and doing well. And they've almost taken that as a view of, well, that's what it is. And where we've seen this repeated around the country, we have seen pubs that have stayed traditional and pubs that have invested. And that one group of pubs, the business rates go up and up and up, and the other groups stay the same. And it seems obvious to me that the valuation office agency are unfairly valuing pubs, and they're acting almost like not a government agency that should be supportive, but almost in opposition to you, like they're some kind of competitor, like a landlord, who's trying to extract more money from you. And I find it such an uncomfortable situation that the VOA have painted themselves into this corner where there's so much evidence now, a body of evidence, people like you, operators around the country, where you invest, they put up your rates. That just is
Well, it's not. It's just not fair. And at the end of the day, there's so many pubs closing down. They should appreciate more of what decent pubs are.
Yeah.
I just find, but then the trouble is, it's really difficult to talk to them, really difficult to get any sense from the way they do things.
Mm. Yeah, it's not clear and it's not transparent. I mean, there are books and guidances and things they put up online, but I can find not much. I can find very few bits of evidence that they're following it. They publish it and wave it around and say, here's our book, here's our guidance. But when you test them on it and say, well, how did you get to this? How did you get to that? They have no answer. And it strikes me that, maybe that particular agency and the way it's kind of run is that all they've done is reach for your sales and gone, let's knock a bit off and we'll charge a percentage of that. But that
Well,
doesn't take into, yeah,
our
doesn't,
business rates have doubled, which is absolutely crazy compared to, and there's lots of other pubs around that probably don't take quite the same money, but they're nowhere near what we're having to pay.
no, no, no.
I just don't know how. Like I said, that's one of the reasons we use you to try and fathom out. We're not accountants. We've got accountants. It's just really difficult. Just we want to run a business, but we don't want to be ripped off, basically.
Well, it's like a leaky bucket, isn't it?
Yeah.
and they put the hole in the bucket. I mean, one of the things that strikes me is I've gathered more evidence from operators like yourself, and not just down the southwest, but right up across the country, is that it's such a big issue. It needs more than just individual appeals, more than individual battles. It needs a concerted response from regulators, from MPs, to deal with this, because this agency really, to my mind, has gone rogue, and whatever it was meant to start out to do, and fair valuation in a transparent manner, it just doesn't do it. And you are the living proof of that. And it's not just you. There are many other pubs that I see. And we do see this clear dividing line. I can think of whole streets in London where some pubs have invested and really done that offer and really spruced up their venues, and others haven't. And you can just see them rip away the business rates. They just wham, up they go. It's a horrible thing. And I really hope that through your evidence and the stuff that we're gathering nationwide, we can put an end to this because it's long overdue. It really is a severe problem for people like yourself who are true entrepreneurs, true investors. You're a businessman to your bootstraps, as is your wife. So, I've enjoyed chatting to you today. It's been fantastic. I don't want to end it on a sour note at all. I would like you to send me some pictures of, everything you can that you're really proud of, packed
We
days,
will.
packed car parks. Send me over some photos. I'd love to put that up on our site and show people what you're doing. And anyone that's passing, got to head to the house in the tree outside of Cheltenham. How many more years do you think you've got in you? What do you,
That's a hard question. We talk about it quite often. Probably realistically, probably 3 or 4 maybe, but you never know. 4 years time, let's see where we are.
well,
We we still enjoy it at the moment. If you can get our business rates down, maybe it might be a bit longer.
help you stay on a bit longer. Well, you'll definitely able to buy some new pairs of trainers and Skechers or whatever you put on your feet for all
I want a car,
that. Yeah, a better car. Yeah.
a better car. I want.
Well, yeah. Well, as long as you're not going to suddenly, buy a herd of buffalo, have
No,
them, have them.
definitely. Yeah, space.
Oh, oh my Liz, oh my life, oh dear. Anyway, look, I really look forward to coming down and seeing you guys sometime. I hope to get away
Brilliant.
this summer and put my head in the door. I'll give you advance notice, and it'll be lovely to do that. But thank you ever so much for joining
No,
me today, and yeah, look forward to getting your pictures and speaking with you again sometime. So yeah, all the best, Jason.
thanks very much. Thank you.